Hello and welcome to one of my favourite yoga spots. We're going to begin today's practice kneeling down, so you can put a block or a cushion underneath you if that's more comfortable. And we're going to start with a simple breath practice of 4, 2 and 6. This really helps soften your nervous system and helps soften into flexibility as well. So we're going to inhale to a count of 4, 2, 3, 4, hover 2, exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Turn the breath. Inhale 2, 3, 4. Hover 2, down 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now you can take this in your own rhythm. I may be too fast or too slow to you. Really find your own count for this breath practice today. It's one that can really help find softness in times of letting go. And today we're going to be letting go into the hips a bit. So you can use this throughout the class today. One more time, all the way up. And releasing all the way back down. We're going to take the knees a little bit wider and walk the hands forward into a child's pose. If you need to bring the floor up, you can put a block underneath your head and really feel into the breath. You can keep that 4, 2, 6 breath sequence if that helps you release. And then we're going to crawl our hands over slightly to the left side, feeling a lovely stretch down that whole right side of torso from your fingertips all the way through to your hip, the crease in your hip. And then crawling the hands to the centre and all the way across to the right side. And once more feeling that delicious stretch down that left side of body. Crawling your hands back to the centre and bringing your body back up to a knelt position. We're going to come onto all fours and we're going to do a bit of a ripple, starting from a child's pose. So take your hips down towards your heel. And on the inhale, you're going to round your back and bring your body forwards to tabletop, and then exhale back to child's pose. Inhale, bring your body forwards to tabletop. Exhale, take your hips back. Now continue in your own rhythm and pace. And with every forward motion of the body, encourage the hips to come a bit further towards the floor, inching bit by bit into what will be a upward dog pose. Feeling into release of that upper front body with every forward motion as well. And whenever you're ready, coming back to a tabletop position, pour the weight slightly into the left side because we're going to release the right knee off the floor and up to a 45-degree angle and gently circle it an outwards direction. Feeling a fluid warming of the hips. Release it back down, take that the other side, so left leg is coming up to 45-degree and then circling it outwards. A bit like a doggy taking a wee. Feeling ever so graceful. On the next inhale, we're going to step our right foot between the hands and come up into a low crescent lunge. And we're going to twist open to the left side, an open lunge twist. Looking over that left shoulder. You can use your right hand to encourage that right knee open slightly, if that feels good. And then come forwards again, both hands down to the ground on the inside of the right foot into a bit of a lizard. Now you can keep the knee, your left knee on the floor, or you can raise it off the ground by tucking the toe. And feeling into that front of groin, front of hip. You can even come down, as I am, onto your forearms if you desire more depth here. Or if that's too intense, you can bring blocks to place your hands on to bring your body a bit further up. Find a place that feels good for you, feeling that release in that front of left leg and front of hip. And we're going to come back into tabletop and take that all the other side. So bringing that left foot between the hands. And bringing it up to a low lunge and an open twist. Looking over the right shoulder to the right hand and using that left hand against the inside of, using that left hand to encourage an opening. And then bring your hands back down to the ground on the inside of your left foot into that lizard lunge. Once again, you can use blocks underneath your hands. You can keep your knee on the floor or you can raise your knee off the ground. And you can even take your forearms onto the ground as well. And use that 4-2-6 breath pattern to melt into this space wherever you are. Whenever you're ready, come back up to tabletop. And we're going to tuck our toes and bring our body back into a yogi squat. If that's not a comfortable way for you to get here, you can find an alternative way into this yogi squat. You can use a block or chair or anything nearby to put under your hips if that gives you more support or not. And you can use a rolled up blanket or block underneath your heels if it feels more comfortable on your feet. So hands in either a prayer position or you can take them out to the sides as I am doing, as I try and distract Evelina to look over the lake. You can stay here or join me with some yogi squats. If so, put your hands on the floor in front of you or on a block and turn your toes and knees in slightly. We're going to exhale, lift the hips up, inhale, bring them back down to squat. Exhale, lift your hips up, inhale, back down. So go at your own pace for this. I take these quite fast, but you can take these a lot slower. And you don't have to bring the hips all the way down. This is just a good way of warming up these hips and backs of thighs a little bit more. Really use your breath. And when you're finished, we're going to walk the hands forwards, wherever you are. Tailbone up to the sky into a downward dog. Softening into the breath and feeling that lovely long length over the whole of the back of body. You can pad your feet through this. And if you're not being kicked or headbutted by a toddler, gaze to navel. And the next inhale, we're going to step our right leg between our hands and open the arms up and open to a warrior two position. Grounding down into these legs. Inhale, raise your right arm up into a peaceful warrior. Releasing down that right side of body, gaze up towards the right hand. And then exhale, bring that arm back, down, straighten the legs, bring the body to the front, hands in prayer position. And then we're going to take a Skandasana, so down, bending down into that right leg. Going as low as feels good. You can use blocks under both your hands. You can put something to sit on if that feels good, or you can come all the way down as I am, hands in prayer position. Softening into these hips. If it feels good, you can extend your reach forwards and really engage the extended leg by pointing the toes up to the sky. And wherever you are, coming back up, using your hands to guide you up. And feet coming forwards, pointing forwards. Hands at the back of the hips, opening up the chest, look up. And inhale, exhale, start to tilt forwards. You can get halfway, put your hands on blocks. And once you're there, keep tilting down as far as feels good. And you really don't have to go much further, if at all, from that 90-degree angle. If you can, come down further. Extend your crown of head towards the floor. And it's all about the tilt in the hips, keeping that back straight. And bring your hands back to your hips and come all the way up. Take that the other side, so readjusting your feet, turning the left foot out and right foot in slightly into your warrior two, grounding into that left leg, I've got a bit of extra weight now. On the next inhale, bringing that left arm up, side stretching into peaceful warrior, looking up to that left hand, left middle fingers. And bring that hand back down, and we're going to come back down to that Skandasana. I sort of did it all in one there because I had Evelina, but you can break it down using blocks again, going halfway, sitting on something if that's better for you, or bringing your hips all the way down to the floor. Hands in prayer or stretched out in front. Keep the right leg extended and engaged by pointing the toe up to the sky, and soften your breath. Again, you can incorporate that 4-2-6 breath in any of these hip releases. Using your hands to guide you back up, straightening both legs and pointing the toes forward. Hands on hips, inhale, gaze up, exhale, tilt forwards into your forward fold once more. Keeping that back straight, so only coming down as far as feels good. It's all about the hilt tip rather than reaching by bending your back over. You want to keep a nice straight back, so using blocks to place your hands on. If you're at a 90-degree angle, extending all the way out through the crown of head, that really helps straighten that back. Hands on your hips to bring your body all the way back up again. And we're going to step our foot towards the front of the mat. And then come down onto our bottoms. Feet together and open your hips into Balasana, butterfly pose. You can put a block underneath you if that's more comfortable here. Letting gravity take your knees down. You can put blocks under your knees as well. Can take the pressure off any hip opening so it's not too intense. If you hold on to your soles of feet, lengthening the spine. And then we're going to just gently circle into these hips in a clockwise direction. Feeling a bit of fluidity in the hips. And then circling the other way in an anti-clockwise direction. We're going to inhale, lengthen that spine up to center once more. Exhale, start tilting these hips forward, extending and leading with your sternum. Keeping that back straight, coming as far as feels good for you. So you may not even move much. Your back may be straight. You may be able to come forward a little bit more. Use your hands to support you. And if it feels good, you can gently release a little bit further over, letting your head come down a bit more. You can put a block under at this point so you can really relax over. But not forced, and not forcing and rounding the back to get our head down. So putting that block as high as you want so that you can just relax over the hips at this point. And then bring your body all the way back up, straight spine. Feel space between each vertebrae. We're going to take our legs out to the side, out to a second position. Using blocks or cushions under your hips where needed. Your legs can be out at a 45-degree angle or further, depending on what feels good for you today. Hands in front of you for support. Lift the toes up to the sky, integrity in the legs. Inhale, lengthen the spine, and exhale, start walking these hands forward, tilting forwards from the hips into a forward fold again. And then extending through that sternum, lengthening outwards, following the gaze up and outwards. And just with every exhale, softening a bit further into this stretch, releasing and letting go in the hips. And it really doesn't matter how far down your body gets, whether it's still up at a 90-degree angle or comes down all the way to the floor. It really doesn't matter because all of our bodies are different. And where we are today will be different to yesterday, and tomorrow will be different to that. And it's just starting somewhere. You can use that 4-2-6 breath pattern to help feel into that release, into that softening. Just one step at a time, one breath at a time. When you're ready, crawl your hands back up to a seated position. Bring the legs together, knees bent up to your chest. You can give your legs a bit of a rub if that feels good. Lean the body back slightly. We're going to take our knees down softly to the left. And then back to the center. And then tip them down to the right. Inhale back up to the center. You're using your hands at the back of you to support this side to side motion. Down to the right. Keep opening through that front body. And bring the knees back up to your chest. Give yourself a bit of a hug. Forehead to knees. And we're going to bring ourselves down to a semi-supine position. Finding yourself in a comfortable place. Extend your right leg out along the mat, keeping the left knee bent. And then bring that left thigh closer to the chest. Hugging that knee and thigh into the chest. Softening with every breath. And you can stay there, or you can gently circle the knee outwards. Little circles to start with, and gently increasing their size as you go. Feeling fluidity in that hip. Knee up, and then we're going to release that knee outwards and down towards the floor into a supine tree pose. Excuse me while I just reach using my feet for my block, because you can put the block underneath the outside of your knee to take the pressure off, or you can just let it fall to the side to let gravity take that knee towards the ground. Savouring this moment on the mat. And then you can use your hand to gently guide the knee back up. We're going to swap those legs, so extending the left leg this time and bringing the right knee and thigh to the chest, hugging it in first of all. You can stay there, or you can take it in little circles, outward circles, gently increasing in size as you go. It's a little bit awkward for me here because Evelina's a bit in the way, so I'm kind of sort of doing a bit of a random little lost flamenco leg going on there. Whenever you're ready, taking that into a supine tree, letting that right knee soften and open down towards the ground. Again, using a block underneath if that helps take the pressure or the intensity off the stretch. Breathing as you go, letting go. And whenever you're ready, using your hand to gently guide that knee back up. Bring both knees back up. You can hug your knees in if you don't have a toddler sitting on your lap. And then we're going to extend these legs all the way out. Arms apart, palms facing forwards, letting your toes drop out to the side into our Shavasana position. And keep breathing into that sense of letting go, opening and surrendering to the space around you. Letting go into yourself. Letting go of expectations of how something should look. You can linger here as long as you need, or if you need to go about your day, just very gently navigate your way back up to a seated position. And do that in your own time. And I will leave you now and just say a big thank you for joining me.